This video is part of our research project enhancing the effectiveness of social dialogue articulation in Europe with the acronym EESDA, which is financed by the European Commission and coordinated by CEPS in cooperation with 5 other partners around the EU. Today we will talk about the European level social dialogue at the cross-sectoral level, providing a brief historical overview, its main actors, topics of priorities and main outcomes that have emerged from it. We will also discuss the articulation and the effectiveness of social dialogue as perceived by key stakeholders that are involved in social dialogue at European level. So, can you please briefly describe when European social dialogue did start?
Well, it dates back to 1985 with the Valdus's social dialogue, which was initiated by then the President of the Commission, Jacques Delors. And the aim was to involve social partners in the internal market process. Then came the Single European Act of 1986, which serves the legal basis of this community-wide social dialogue. And then this community-wide social dialogue became the Social Dialogue Committee in terms of legally, and it's a bipartite body. Another key year in the social dialogue history in Europe is the year of 1991, which is the Treaty of Maastricht, which also stated in its agreement that all agreements negotiated by the social partners could become legally binding by means of a European directive. More recently, the year of 2016 marked the further involvement of social partners in the European level and in the policy making especially. And this was done through the involvement of these actors in the European semester process. And last but not least, the European Pillar of Social Rights, which was proclaimed in 2017, encourages the autonomy and the right for collective action by social partners in Europe. And that's also a recent, development in this area.
And what are the main structure where the European social dialogue take place?
Well, European social dialogue meetings usually take place in the social dialogue committees. This is the most formal structure where social partners come together and negotiate on topics. But within the framework of the EESDA project, we also consider other structures or platforms where partners come together, not necessarily negotiate an agreement, but also exchange information or consult with each other. And with this, we have in mind, for example, meetings of the European Economic and Social Committee or tripartite social summit, as well as any meetings that relates to European semester process.
And what are the main actors that take part in these processes of European social dialogue?
So there are two sides, of course, in the European social dialogue. So one side is the workers, and that is represented by the main European Trade Union Confederation, also known as ETUC. On the employer side, there are 3 bodies. And these are Business Europe, CEP, which is the European Center of Employers and Enterprises providing public services, and the third one is the SME United, which is the European Association of Craft Industries and Small and Medium-Sized Enterprises.
Okay. What are the main topics or priorities that are addressed in cross-sectoral social dialogue meetings at European level?
These topics are usually defined in the work programs of social partners, and there is one recent such a joint work program actually that covers the period of 2019 to 2021, where the 4 aforementioned social partners came together and agreed on a work program. And this work program covers topics like performing labor markets and social systems, digitalization, skills, circular economy, stronger social dialogue and capacity building, as well as well-being at work.
Right. Can you please give us some examples of outcomes of European level social dialogue?
Yes, of course. European level social dialogue can have different types of outcomes of binding or non-binding nature. If you think of examples of binding outcomes, so there are, for example, those framework agreements on part-time work, fixed term work or parental leave, which later became European directives. Other autonomous agreements include agreements on telework or active aging, which are also implemented at the national level. So these are the binding type of outcomes. But there are also non-binding type of outcomes, and those include, let's say, joint declarations by social partners or guidelines to their members.
How do social partners perceive the effectiveness of European social dialogue, and what the research findings of the EESDA project suggest to improve this dialogue?
So the European social dialogue brings together a diversity of industrial relations regimes in Europe, and this diversity has increased further with the enlargement process. So although this diversity has an added value by adding more richness to the social dialogue process, it also sometimes creates more obstacles to find a common agreement among everyone. Then our research suggests that there is a general feeling, indeed, that the social partners are more and more consulted, and there is more exchange of information among them over the last, say, 5 years. But we also see that there is this feeling that this more consultation or exchanges of information does not necessarily translate into more agreements among them. Then there is also an appreciation by the social partners, as our results suggest, that there is kind of more involvement of them in the social governance or social policy areas of the European semester. So they see this as an opportunity. However, if you look at the national social partners' experience, it doesn't look like that they're so much involved in this process yet. It's something that can perhaps develop in the future. Then it was also mentioned in our interviews throughout the project by social partners that the coalition building, cooperation, as well as informal ties between people, staff of the social partner organizations is key and is considered as an enabler towards more effective social dialogue. And last but not least, capacity building was also highlighted as one of the key aspects that could improve the situation. And capacity building in the sense that social partners are sometimes lacking capacity, either financial resources, staff, or time simply, to follow closely and actively participate in the social dialogue structures. And there are also some language barriers. So this, in a way, is a key kind of area of development to make things more effective at the European level.
Okay, thanks for sharing these findings.